Most of the internet will tell you, your dog is dreaming about chasing rabbits. That might be true. It's also the boring version of the answer. The more interesting version comes from a sleep lab in Budapest, where for the past 10 years, a small team of scientists has been doing something genuinely strange. They've been putting EEG stickers on family pets and asking the owners to wait outside while their dog falls asleep on a couch. They're not opening anyone's brain. They're not waking anyone up. They're just watching what happens, minute by minute, while a Labrador or a Beagle or some indeterminate fluff dreams. What they've found in the last decade is not what they expected. It's also not what happens in us. After a hard day, your dog's sleep does something specific. After a good day, it does something else. And there's a part of it, one specific stage of it, that, if you took it away, your dog would lose the ability to read your face. That's not the rabbit-chasing answer. That's the one we're after. Here's what they actually do, those scientists in Budapest. Pick a dog. Let's say a 5-year-old Labrador called something perfectly ordinary. Tuffy. The owner brings Tuffy in. Tuffy gets some sensors stuck to his head. They look like the kind of stickers you'd put on a kid at the doctor. And then Tuffy lies down on a couch in a quiet room, and a scientist watches a screen. About 20 minutes after Tuffy falls asleep, the screen changes. The pattern goes irregular. His breathing shallows. Under his closed eyelids, his eyes start moving, fast, side to side. His paws twitch. Sometimes he makes a sound that's almost a bark, but smaller, like it leaked out by accident. Whatever he's seeing, oops, wrong image. Whatever he's seeing it clearly enough that his body wants to follow. That's REM. That's the stage where, in humans, we dream. And in dogs, the brain looks remarkably similar while it's happening. Same waveforms, same eye movement, same partial paralysis of the body, kept just barely in place by a tiny piece of brainstem doing its quiet job. And here's where the popular story usually ends. Pointers point in their sleep. Dobermans chase burglars. Your dog is reliving its day. Cute. Move on. Except, that's where the Budapest lab starts. You probably already know the famous claim. Pointers in their sleep. Dobermans chasing imaginary burglars. That comes from work done in the 1960s by a French scientist named Michel Jouvet, who figured out which part of the brainstem paralyzes the body during dreams. He figured it out by removing it. In cats. The cats slept normally until REM hit, and then they got up, eyes half closed, and hunted invisible mice in the lab. Jouvet, by the way, named his lab the Laboratory of Molecular Dream Science, kept his own dream diary for 40 years, and is somehow not the protagonist of an HBO miniseries. We've never done that experiment in dogs. We're not going to. But the same circuit exists in your dog, and every time their paws paddle, that circuit is doing its job. Almost. The dream is leaking through. Fine. That's the foundation. Now, what are they actually dreaming about? Back to Tuffy. The scientists in Budapest didn't just want to record his sleep. They wanted to know whether his sleep changed depending on what kind of afternoon he'd had. So they ran every dog through the study twice. Once after a good afternoon, the owner played ball, gave belly rubs, the whole show. Once after a bad afternoon. And the bad afternoon is the part I want you to actually picture, because it is, on its face, kind of brutal. They asked the owner to do something called a still face test. The owner sits in a chair in the same room as the dog and just stops responding. Doesn't look at the dog, doesn't pet the dog, doesn't speak, refuses to react when the dog tries to engage. 2 minutes of that. Then a stranger approaches the dog in a slightly threatening way. Then a brief separation. Then the dog goes to sleep. I don't have a clean reaction to that part of the methodology. I get why they had to do it. They needed real, measurable negative emotional experiences in a controlled way. The dogs were fine afterward. This is the kind of trade-off ethics boards weigh constantly. But also, my dog would eat my soul if I did the still face test on him. So would yours. We're built for being the responder. Becoming the wall is harder than they make it sound. Anyway, here's what happened on the recordings. After the bad afternoon, the dogs fell into REM sleep faster, significantly faster. They got there sooner and they restructured the time. In humans, stress works the opposite way. Bad days delay REM. In dogs, bad days accelerate it. They want to get to the dream stage as fast as possible after something hard. That is a finding. Listen it again. After a bad day, your dog races to the dreaming. There's something they need to do there. The next study, also from the same lab, 5 years later, a different team within the same institute, got closer to what? This time, they took dogs through something selective. They didn't just disturb sleep. They specifically interrupted REM sleep, while leaving the other stages intact. Then they tested the dogs on something dogs are normally extraordinary at: reading human facial expressions. You know how good your dog is at this. They can read the difference between you walking into the kitchen and you walking into the kitchen because it's dinner time, within a single frame. They watch our faces with the seriousness of someone reading a court transcript. They are excellent at us, but when the researchers selectively disrupted REM sleep, only REM, not non-REM, not total sleep, the dogs got worse at it, worse at reading the emotion in human faces. They could still see, they could still hear, they could still recognize their owners, but the ability to match an angry human face to an angry human voice, that part frayed. When they disrupted non-REM by the same amount, the effect didn't appear. So whatever your dog is doing in REM, it's not just neural housekeeping, it's about you. Specifically, it's about reading you. There is a stage of your dog's sleep where the work being done is the work of staying connected to you. And if you take it away, the connection thins. That's what the second study told them. The first one said, dogs need REM more after hard moments. The second said, REM is where they keep us. There's a third piece to it. Just listen to this. Same lab, different question. What if you taught a dog something new? A command, a word, and then watched their sleep right after. So they did. They taught family dogs a new word for a command the dog already knew, but in a different language. Sit, lie down, but in English instead of Hungarian. The dogs got the lesson. Then they napped. The scientists watched. What they found were these little bursts of brain activity called sleep spindles. Bursts that spike during non-REM sleep, the calmer, deeper stage. The dogs that produced more spindles remembered the new commands better when they woke up. The ones that produced fewer didn't. Female dogs had more spindles than males, by the way, which mirrors what happens in human women. Don't ask me why. The researchers don't entirely know either. It's one of those moments in the data where you just go, huh, what this means in plain English. The day gets filled during sleep. The walk you took. The new word. The face you made when they didn't come back the first time you called. All of it gets sorted, indexed, written somewhere more permanent. The training session you did at 4 o'clock. That gets locked in at midnight. Think about that for a second. You are not just a person your dog spends time with. You are content their brain is processing all night. You're being filed. While you sleep, they're sleeping with the day you had together open in front of them. Here's the thing that stuck with me, with all of this. Not as a finding, as a small reorientation. Your dog can't tell you what they did today. They can't summarize. They can't make a list of what bothered them or what they liked. They have one mechanism for sorting through what happened. Lying down in the same room as you, eyes flickering, paws twitching, processing it. The face you made when you got home. The walk that got cut short because it rained. The treat that came at the right moment. The thing they did that you didn't notice, but they're still thinking about. All of it gets pulled apart and put back together while you scroll through your phone next to them on the couch. The famous answer to what do dogs dream about is rabbits. The boring answer is their day. The actual answer, as far as we can tell, is this. They're dreaming about the day they had with you. They are dreaming about being your dog. Tonight, when their paws twitch, that's a fragment of you leaking through. Alright, time's up for this video. Do let me know in the comments, do you wake your dog from a nightmare? Half of you are going to say yes, They look so distressed, you can't just sit there. Half are going to say no. Sleep is sacred, especially this kind of sleep. I want to know which half you're in, and honestly, why?